Welcome to the channel where all you gotta do is design some hood hinges for this Mustang. So, I don't know, a year ago or so, wandered over to my local pick and pull and opened every hood that opened up reverse, which is a lot of BMWs, some Saabs, anyway, a few cars. And I landed on a 7 Series BMW, I don't know, mid 80s, early 90s, I don't know, something like that. I think I have written down somewhere, 735, something. Anyway, so these are all the pieces from it. So basically this bolts on the inside. This is the side, this is the passenger side. And then this is bolts to the hood. So this would go where the original hood hinges were. And then this attaches to the hood. And so the way the hood closes is goes down like that. And then it slides into place. And then when you unbuckle the hood with the latch in the front, this thing pops up like that. And then in order to get it to open, you just push down on it. There's some springs that pop it open. So anyway, I got these pieces, one for each side. Pretty lightweight compared to the stock hinges. This is the hood picker-upper thing. So this goes on the, like the hood goes like here and pivots that way. So this is the, that's the spring that pops it up. If this is going to be strong enough, I don't know. We'll find out. And we'll put some stronger springs on there. If it's not, change lever ratio, whatever. So I got those. And then there's this piece. Don't worry the fact that it's got a, whoops, needs to be wider. And this has got the little springs and stuff in it. So the way this works is this part here attaches to the frame of the car. The pivot does. There's some little pivot bracket doodles here that were spot welded to the car. So I just drilled those out, chiseled them out. Anyway, that's the pivot. Lefty and righty. And the way this works is this part bolts to the hood, and this part attached to the front of the car, and this pivots up like that. And then there's a little spring in here that forces the hood to, pivot. So this thing goes like that, and then the hood can pivot on this guy. I don't know if you've ever driven an early Mustang at 100 plus miles an hour. I certainly have. That hood comes up, you're in, and it's flippity. There's a safety on it and stuff, but it's not really attached to anything. It's attached to a piece of sheet metal. It was always kind of unnerving to me doing that. I think I went through the traps in the quarter mile at like 118 or 15 or something like that. Yeah. And the suspension, the aerodynamics on those cars stock were kind of terrible. So anyway, we're fixing all that in this car. And this, I'm not only doing for that, unnerving feeling to get rid of it. I'm also doing it because where the turbos are going to be located, and it's going to be, like, there's nothing you need to access in the front of the car. Like, there's some fog lights up there and nothing really. So for the hood open forward is like a normal way of opening from the front. It's kind of dumb unless you're using it as luggage, like a 280Z kind of thing. Much more sense. So that's what I'm going to do. And then the turbos are going to be right there. When you open the side, it's right there. You got to pull the hood to change the motor anyway, so it doesn't really matter if it tilts from the front or the back. Either way, you got to pull the hood off, right? So anyway, let me move the camera over there and show you exactly what I got going on. So this thing is going to sit in here. You can see I've already marked it kind of where it goes. There's kind of structure in the hood like that. So that's going to sit kind of like that, and then this bar will have to be extended. And this is actually working as a torsion bar to keep it all from, you know, jiggling around when you open it up. So you need this. This is structural. Okay, gotten a little bit of work done on this guy. So this needed to be lengthened about 12 inches. So I just found a piece of conduit about the same size. I'll get real stuff later, but cleaned the galvanizing off so I didn't kill myself. And I just sparkulated that together. I didn't show you this earlier, but these springs are wound up right now in the closed position. So I drilled a hole and put a Cleco in there in both of them. So those are both in the same wound up state, so I don't have to fight with them. So I popped the hood off of that thing. And this is where that bracket's gonna go. This side and this side. So I'm gonna go grab it, show you how it fits. I think it's pretty obvious, but so this has like a nut on here for the latch, so I'll have to make a clearance for that. Or move it, I don't know. So anyway, I think I need to do a little bit of making this so it's not flat, because this is a little bit curved and whatnot. And I'll probably put a doubler plate in here on the actual hood. I'll weld in a doubler, so this has got some more structure on. Because this over here is where its structure is supposed to be coming from, which I'm going to use this to make a plate to put the latch on the back side, but that's going to be doing all the work. So anyway, and then I drilled out these spot welds here, so it looks like there still has a little, like they peen it in place. Just bend over that piece of sheet metal there, hold it in place, and then they spot weld it. They spot weld this to this, and then this to the hood skin. So this, I'm gonna have to cut this. I think if I bend that out of the way, slide this out of the way, I can cut this, and then slide it the other way and cut that, and I'll be able to get it out. Okay, so I bent these little tabs up here. Now the thing, well, it still won't come out. Okay, so I got this thing, I wouldn't call it mocked up, but got some of the pieces on there. This is the stock grill, obviously, and the stock whatever corral thingy. It's all bent up. I have new ones in the basement or in the wine cellar. This guy goes in there like that. I took the Clecos out of there, so those are like in the wrong whatever, but this pretty much goes right here, essentially. Like this edge of this lines up with about the center of the bolt. But these little brackets for the bumper stop toodles, I think I need more structure than that. Those are just like bump stops. But I need to make a structure to hold this guy to this, and I don't really trust the core support to support the whole hood, right? So I need to make some sort of a structure. Not sure what it's going to look like yet, but this is pretty stiff. Once this core support interfaces with this panel here on both sides, that's going to be pretty stiff. And that's only, I don't know, 2 or 3 inches away from where it needs to be mounted. So I'm going to have to go play in SolidWorks and see if I can't come up with a little sheet metal brackety thing that has a good structure between this and this. Okay, so I did a little bit of CAD work, cardboard aided design. This is like my third iteration, and the reason it took so many iterations is I want to make it like sort of easy to make. So we'll make it out of 20 gauge sheet metal instead of cardboard boxes, but I think that's going to be relatively easy to fabricate, and then I can spot weld it like this way through here onto this flange, and then this piece folds the opposite way and this side here. So you have to do it in the right order, right? I have to spot weld this to this first, and then spot weld this to this, and this to this. That's how that's how this car is put together, right? You gotta do it in the right order, it doesn't work. So anyway, this is like approximately in the right spot. I can trim this off a little bit because this thing here, I'm only going to be able to use this part here. And I'll probably bolt it on so I have some adjustment. Okay, so I got these cut out. I kind of hammered them a little bit straight. And then usually what I do when I make two parts that are supposed to be identical, and I don't use like micron level accuracy, I just clamp them together, kind of align them as, generic as I can. And then I just like take a flap wheel and grind all the edges so they're the same. They may not be right, but they'll be the same, and nobody will notice it once it's assembled. But I want to make sure I get this arc the same. Make sure it doesn't have any whoopie doopies on there, because that thing there, that slices through metal fast, like probably 2 inches a second or something. Pretty fast. So it stays relatively straight because you're doing it fast, but it is a little wiggly. Okay, so I got this guy bent up. It kind of goes in there about like that. Look pretty tidy. So now I just have to make the other side. So I got it all laid out how to bend it. Alright, so I bent this up and kind of clamped it in place. So that's pretty much, yeah, that's stout now. And it's only in with, a couple clecos and a couple clamps. So once I put some spot welds across this. And then the other side, there's a little bit of detail a little bit different detail. There's this hole here, so I gotta trim that out and do some hammer and dolly work on this pass through. And then this guy's got to get folded in. I don't know if you can see that. Not a lot of contrast, but so I'll get this thing spot welded all in place, and then I'll pull this whole thing off and hammer and dolly that to here, so that gap is all filled in, and then weld it. So yes, now I'm going to make the other one of these braces. I got it here. Just gotta go up there to my slip roll / cheesy bender and do the other side. And then, yeah, then after that, I gotta go and make some plates to go on the inside of this guy here. Alright, so I'm working on getting a piece of plate in here, bolt that too, and this side there seemed to be an obstruction, so I got a piece of 3/32 welding rod, and yeah, some critters built a nest in there. So basically this thing This thing has a slight arc to it. If we put a rule on there, it's fairly straight, but there's like a little gap under here. That's okay. I can put a little bend to that. And I'm thinking about making it go from all the way from here all the way out to there. And then I'll have room to get it in. So to make it the whole length, there's no way to get it in there, right? So probably make 2 of these. And I'll make a little cut to avoid running into that guy there. So it'll be like like a little hole in it like that. Like that there, that fits over on top of that guy. And then this can still have some 3-dimensional structure in there. And then I'll put plug welds, you know, along here. And fill that up. Trying to smooth. And then I'll make a patch for this guy. Okay, so I did a little bit of hacking and cutting. So I put a little slot in there. I'm going to come back and put like a chamfer on there so it sits into the radius. And then I'll have to flip the other one over and put it on the opposite side because they're mirror images of each other. And then I need to drill these holes in. Just 3 holes here, here, and over here. Over here. So I'll drill those in. Those should be mirror images of each other. And then, yeah, we'll thread those. And then we'll weld a nut to the back side so I have a little bit more purchase. And then run the tap through there because when you weld on the nut it's going to get all boogered up. Okay, there it is off the milling machine. It's obviously not deburred yet, but it's going to go. Let's see where this slot is from there to there. And then this will just overlap those original spot weld holes were, so I'll be able to plug weld those. So yeah, I think that's going to work good. And then the other side, obviously, we go like that. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So this isn't in the middle. I should have made this longer. Ding dang it. I think everything else is symmetrical except for those plug welds, so I'll just put some new holes in here, plug weld those, and I'll fill those in. Put some copper behind there. That'll be fine. Alright, welcome to a new day. Didn't do much since yesterday, but I put some Clecos in here, so there's not big old clamps. And then I kind of straightened these and took the spot welds off of them a little bit so they sit kind of flat. And then you kind of see how this is going to work now, I think. So the hood is going to be like in that angle. And then as it folds forward, it'll be like that. And then when it slams shut, this will be kind of flat like that. And that's how it'll be when it's closed. And then when you release it, it'll pop up like that because this spring is what pops it up. And then it'll just sit there until you grab this and flip it up. Alright, so wrestled the hood back on here. It's not perfectly aligned, but it's close. And then fender's kind of just sitting there, but this is kind of close to the right height. And I measured the distance between here and here. It's 2 inches. Very close to 2 inches. It's German, so it's probably 50 millimeters. And these things are just makeshift, right? They're, they're close, but I can move them up and down a little bit, and I made them long just to make sure I wouldn't have to make them over again because they're too short. But the distance between here and here is 1 1/4 inches, which means I have to move this thing down 3/4 inches, which is perfectly fine. I can try to kind of fine tune them to make them like really close to the same, but That looks like what I'm going to have to do next. Yeah, really close left and right. Okay, so I made some more adjustments, but I think I still need a little bit more, but that's essentially where it's going to live, right there. It's nice how the Wimbledon white BMW and Mustang match pretty good, but you can see essentially how this is going to happen, and it's going to be invisible to the world. I mean, unless you're, this tall, nobody will see that. So that's good, but it is still a little bit too tall. So I'm gonna have to drop it 1/4 inch or something like that. Seems like big numbers for the first try or the third try, but maybe I'll go down 1/2 inch. I can always space this up easier than I can drop it, so I might just do that. Alright, so I got this thing all plicoed in place, so it's probably stronger than the cowl that's holding it up. I think that's gonna be good. So I did lower it like 1/2 inch, so it's probably gonna need like an 1/8 inch shim in here or something, but it's just plicoed together, so we can move it around a little bit if we need to, but I think that's relatively close to where it's going to live. Alright, so sometimes I even surprise myself. I'm so good. I'm being a little kidding here, but look at that. It's like Ford put this notch here just for me, and BMW designed their bracket just for me. Now, of course, I realize this isn't working yet, and that does kind of crash there, but I think that's at a bigger angle than it's ever going to see, so we'll find out. But this looks really good, so I just I threaded the other plate. I haven't put this one in yet, so I just threaded those. I didn't put a nut on the back side of it yet, and I put a stud on here just so I could, stick it in there and get it lined up to hold it. So that's why that one's got a stud in there. That was just to align it and hold it there. And this one has a slot, so that's why I put the stud there where the slot is. So then once I could hold it in place, I could slide this guy in, and then I tightened this guy, kind of aligned it, not perfectly aligned, but got a little bit of jiggle room in there. So I tightened this guy first and held this vice grip on here, so this plate, this has actually got a little curve to it, the hood does, and the plate's flat, so I'm going to have to do a little massaging on that. But for now, this plate, I just tightened this bolt up first so it would hold it in position, and then I tightened up this bolt because this is on a relatively flat surface, and then this one's got like a little crunch in the corner here, and I tightened that one up. And so now all this is like kind of conforming to the shape of the hood. So now I just got to drill the holes in the side, do the same thing. Okay, so I got this thing bolted on both sides, springy loaded. So yeah, when the hood's tilted all the way up, it's going to be like that. And then when you fold it down, this thing will go like that-ish. And then when you close it, this thing will go back down, and then these things will fall horizontal as it goes. And that's not supposed to happen. Stupid gravity's working right now. So this is looking pretty good. I have no idea what that's from. Huh. Okay, quick tip for today. So I keep a box full of these little washers laying around. It's just a, I don't know, just a washer. maybe half millimeter thick. And it's got an 1/8 inch hole in the center, so you can put these clecos through it. And then you need to hold some parts on that don't have, you know, cleco holes in them. You just drop that on the floor. You just put a fender washer on that side, another fender washer on that side. And not only does it hold it in place, but you can move it around, you can jiggle it. Get a better view of it. Yeah, so this thing it's not tight because it's the spring-loaded cleco, so you can move it around. So it's a little trick I use to kind of hold stuff in place while mocking it up. So. Okay, so there's hinges on the hood. So a little bit tight here. And a little bit loose here. So I didn't make any adjustment in it yet. I just put like 6mm hole. I just have it held on with one doodad here. But it kind of does what it's supposed to do. Just lifts up like that. You can see it pops up and goes forward. And I think this is like 3.5 inches long or so. So it'll go from, well, it's already gone back, I don't know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, something like that. And it isn't even on center line yet. So I'm going to refrain from tipping it the whole way until I get this structure built in. There's nothing holding the back side, so. And I don't think this will close all the way with it like that, but maybe it will. Okay. Yeah. So that should be super easy to adjust now. This is stiff. And this doesn't have any helper springies on it. Mind you, this hood is 43 pounds. Oh boy, that looks nice. Yeah, I mean, you could do it without helpers on it, but awesome. Definitely more work to do here, but Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither was Earth or an old Mustang.